Pies are immensely comforting, easy to whip up, and perfect to feed a crowd. Think a beautiful, simple haddock pie, a lovely spicy chicken pie, and lentils and mince all wrapped up in phyllo pastry. First on today's pie party menu is this wonderful cheat chicken samoosa pie. It's super easy, but incredibly delicious. To make it, you're going to need onion, garlic and ginger paste and curry powder, some rotisserie chicken, butternut and sweet potato chunks, and a couple of tomatoes, chicken stock, coconut milk, chutney, then some fresh coriander, butter, samoosa pastry sheets, and some cumin seeds. We're going to start with some oil, just regular old canola oil or sunflower oil. It doesn't have to be olive oil. I don't think that when you're using big sort of curried flavours, you need that kind of oil. I've got some chopped onion here. Let's give that a stir. Now get your onions going before you add your other aromatics. Just get that stirring away. Now bless them, they do actually make a wonderful sort of ready chopped, grated, fresh ginger and garlic paste. And I recommend using it at all times because life is short. However, if you don't feel that way inclined, you could just simply chop and grate your own. Now, I quite like a decent amount, so like a good tablespoon or so, just to get the real flavours going. I think ginger is a vital part of anything that's going to be slightly curried. And talking of curry, I'm going to need some curry powder. So an ordinary curry powder, if you love a sort of strong, quite robust curry, then obviously go for sort of a deep red, really rich curry. Otherwise, keep it sort of mild and sort of traditional Malay style. You've got to stir the curry powder to really bring out the flavour. We often have rotisserie chicken on the weekends, you know, sort of chicken mayonnaise rolls at lunchtime or whatever, on a Saturday. And then invariably, we don't eat it again. And come Monday, I have leftover rotisserie chicken, sort of like this. And it makes an excellent meal, which is why I'm showing you how to bulk it up, because obviously we don't have the whole chicken, but we've got some. I've got a packet of butternut and sweet potato. Just make the little blocky slightly smaller, because otherwise they're going to take forever to cook. It's really quite important that you make all the vegetables quite evenly sized, and they'll cook at the same time, and just speed things up if they're slightly smaller. So stir everything to coat the vegetables quite well. And really, if you want to, you feel free to add more curry powder, more ginger and garlic. It just really depends who you're cooking for. Some salt. Good idea to add the salt now when you add the spices, because they really react together for maximum flavour. And once that's doing its thing and is well coated, you can add some stock. This is chicken stock, but you could add vegetable stock. That'll do. Now, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to grab the chicken. It's up to you whether you keep the skin on or whatever, but I prefer not to. I think the great thing about this recipe is that you can actually sort of add any old thing to bulk it up. Regular potatoes, more sweet potato or butternut, some pumpkin. It's just the idea that you've got some protein in the form of this leftover chicken, and then you're kind of like, you know, adding a bit of sex appeal to it. That's the general idea. I'm going to toss this chicken in here. I mean, you could, of course, make this just vegetables and add a whole lot of them with a sort of a curried vegetable pie. Quite delicious, really, for meat-free Mondays. Of course, I'm cheating with the chicken on a Monday, aren't I? I shouldn't have told you that part. Then I'm going to add some coconut milk, because life without coconut milk's not worth living. Divine. You see? A miracle in seconds. How marvellous. Now, where there are spices and there is creaminess, we then need a bit of sort of acidity. So I'm going to add a few ripe tomatoes. If you don't have tomatoes, I suppose a little bit of lemon juice would do, but I quite like tomato and curry. Now, I'm not peeling the tomatoes, as you can see, because, well, life is short. But if you feel that way inclined, then do. This is another great thing to use sort of extra ripe tomatoes for, because they can be as sort of soggy as you like. Some chutney. A tablespoon or so. Don't over-sweeten it, because remember, you've got sweet potato and butternut. So you do want to keep a balance of flavours without getting too completely carried away. Now, this should cook for sort of, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, really, to get the tomatoes to just start to break up slightly. And just get really the flavours going. Add a little bit more salt, because there's quite a lot of stuff going on in here. Now, you just want it to sort of reduce slightly to become sort of delicious and aromatic and marvellous, and then probably tidy up in between. I do make a huge mess when I cook. I must say I'm like a man that way. Right, I'm also gonna get some pastry. Pastry we're gonna use is samoosa pastry. Really just to sort of echo that whole idea of curry, really. The thing about samoosa pastry is it's not that much different to phyllo pastry. It's just slightly thicker, and they very kindly cut it in strips for you. And it was really just for fun, but if you've only got phyllo pastry, then please don't feel any stress, just use phyllo. It's been 10 minutes or so, and it's looking delicious. And there must be a certain amount of juice because it's still popping into the oven. But you do want the vegetables to be soft and the tomatoes to have broken up. And I'm just going to add some coriander. I'm just adding this at the last minute so we're keeping the flavour relatively fresh. You know, if you've got a soft herb, the softer the herb, the sort of quicker the flavour will dissipate, really. So there we go. Pop that in, give it a little stir. Just going to switch that off now. Now, if you didn't have an oven-to-table dish, which fortunately this is, you would transfer this mixture into your baking dish or your pan or whatever you've got. But this works just perfectly. So here we have our lovely little samoosa strips. And I'm just going to kind of like, this is why I love it so much. You see, there's no rolling, there's no thinking. There's just a bit of scrunching, which any old person can do. So just, it's quite haphazard, and it's not going to all sort of stick in a perfect place. It would, however, if you buttered them first, which is probably not a bad idea. But I've got so old and ditzy that I keep forgetting to do things, and so I'm doing it the wrong way round, as I do many things. It all seems to pan out at the end of the day. This is not rocket science. It's just called cooking. And there's no need to sort of cover the whole lot. Really, what you want is something that's just lovely and pretty and gorgeous and makes you feel happy inside. Just going to brush the butter over. You could use olive oil, I suppose, but butter is so much more delicious. And then, not entirely necessary, but very delicious. So I'm just going to scatter a couple of cumin seeds, pop it in the oven about 180 degrees for about 20 minutes until they're golden, and that's it. Dinner is literally served. Gently spiced, creamy, and very Moorish. It's hard to believe it's this easy. Probably that's why we call it Cheats Chicken Samoosa Pie.